How much do you love the countryside? I love it a lot. That's why I live here. I live in a place called North Heath, which is down the road from Adversane, which is currently under the threat of being built on with 3,500 to 4,000 houses. On today's show, I have Julian Trumper, who has rallied the local residents to act as an opposition to this big build. Julian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes, I represent BigSTAND, which is a coming together of local residents associations to oppose this proposal to build 3,500 to 4,000 houses on open countryside at Adversane near Pulborough.
And I must say, it's actually beautiful open countryside. It's not just redundant rubbish land. It's old. It's been here for hundreds of years. You've got small forests and so on here. So there's going to be other places that these houses can be built on, surely.
Well, there might be other places to build houses, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But the Adversane site is a fine example of rolling, precious Wealden countryside, including ponds and open grassland and ancient woodland, and is host to populations of bats as well as nightingales and other wonderful wildlife. So that is just one part of our objection, yes.
But also infrastructure is also an issue.
The big thing about the Adversane site is that the infrastructure just doesn't seem to be there. It is not there for a population increase of 3,500 to 4,000 houses, which represents, according to government figures, an increase of a population of about 8,000 people, and 5,500 cars. And the Adversane site is served by the B2133 and the old Roman road Stane Street, which is the A29.
Yeah.
And it's also right beside the South Downs National Park. And so we'll talk about infrastructure, but the road access is a big worry and hasn't been properly addressed, I don't think, by these developers.
Road access being that the Adversane lanes are quite small. Is that what you mean?
Well, getting commuters and traffic in and out, access to schools and railway stations and medical centres and accident and emergency departments are difficult from this site. Adversane is equidistant, roughly, from Guildford, Chichester, Burgess Hill, accident and emergency, all roughly about 20 miles away.
Okay.
And we know as locals that there are traffic pinch points at Newbridge and towards Loxwood on the way to Guildford. We know there are the traffic pinch points at Pulborough going south towards Chichester, at the bottom of Church Hill in Pulborough, where the road's very narrow. And we know that the causeway south of Pulborough is prone to flooding, as is Newbridge, actually. So the access to accident and emergency from the Adversane site is not great.
Employment in the local area isn't that great either, is it? So in terms of we don't have big employment here. So if they had to build an extra 3,000 to 4,000 new houses, where are these people going to be working?
Well, the developers, our place, say that they are going to build a sustainable development of 3,500 to 4,000 houses. And what that means is that to have sustainable development, you have to have jobs in the local area, so that you keep commuting and traffic pollution down to a minimum. And their proposal is that they are going to provide one job per new house on the Brinsbury site. So their proposal is that they will provide, or there will be provided, 3,500 jobs locally on the Brinsbury site.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I know Brinsbury. That's other people. That's a lot of work. But what will they do? What do you think they'll do?
There is outlining planning permission for 6 industrial units nearby.
Okay.
But we, as a group, think that we're sceptical that 3,500 jobs can be provided on Brinsbury at all. We just don't think the site is big enough. But our big concern is that the average non-commuting wage in this area is not sufficiently high for people to afford the sort of houses that our place are proposing to build.
How much are those houses?
Well, if you look on their website, they've got a lovely drawing of an idyllic Hovis-style town of 2 and 3 bedroom houses, that looks wonderful as a drawing. Incidentally, there's no traffic or traffic lights or anything on this drawing of theirs. We know that the sort of jobs in the local area really need housing, much more affordable housing than we see being proposed by our place.
Okay.
You need houses of sort of 150 to 200,000 pounds to be truly affordable by people who work in the local area and not by, who are not commuting to Gatwick or to London.
Yeah.
So if we just follow that argument on, that sustainable argument, our place are saying that their proposal is sustainable, and we are saying that we don't see sufficient evidence of that. We don't think that, from what we can see, that it's going to be sustainable in the sense that local jobs are going to be available at all. And what you're going to find, if that is correct, is that there's going to be a huge amount of inward and outward commuting. So people who live in Horsham will be commuting down to the industrial site at Adversane that's going to be created. And people who live on the new development at Adversane are going to be jumping on the train at Billingshurst and getting jobs in Horsham, Gatwick or London.
So moving out the area. Okay. People from out of the area coming into the area to work.
Absolutely, yeah.
So tell me how people can help you.
Well, I think, first of all, people need to understand the enormity of the size of this thing.
Yeah.
And at 4,000 houses, 8,000 people, it is the same size as Billingshurst is today.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So we've got a website. BigSTAND has got a website. So you just go to www.bigstand.co.uk and on there we've got pictures of what the development will look like. We've downloaded some stuff from the developer's website so people can have a look at that easily.
Yes.
And I think people will be shocked at the area and what is proposed. And if people feel like us, that actually there may be better places to put houses, nearer to where jobs are, maybe nearer Gatwick, Crawley, Horsham. If people think that we need to stop this Adversane new town becoming firmly onto the local plan.
Yes.
And what you need to do is you just need to tell the council that. You just need to object. You need to register your objection to this site. And we'll all have our own personal reasons. For me, a big one is it's just not a sustainable development.
Yeah.
But people will have their own reasons about, the environment, climate change, access, roads, medical facilities. The list is endless. And if you feel strong enough that you want to make an objection, and we urge you to do that, then on the website you've got links to go through to the Horsham District Council, have your say area.
You've made it very easy for people to actually have their say.
We've tried. It has to be acknowledged that you have to be quite determined to make an objection through the Horsham local plan, because they have not made it that easy. Not in my opinion. Other people might find it easier. I found it quite difficult. But the best way is to make your objection through the local plan, through the Have Your Say website.
Okay.
And you can find instructions on how to do that on our website. Alternatively, you can write a letter. That's your democratic right. So you can write a letter. You need to quote the Sheila reference, which is SA 597 for the Adversane site. You can write an email. So there are a number of ways you can do it. You can download a template card from our website, actually, which gives the references. And you don't need to write a lot. You just need to write something that is relevant. And don't write that it's going to spoil the view, because that's not a planning issue.
Okay.
Roads, traffic, schools, hospital facilities, those are serious planning issues, and those are the sort of things we need to write about, and those are the sort of things we need to get the message across to the councillors and the planners at Horsham, that the local residents who understand what's going on locally, we don't believe that this site is a good site, and we don't believe that this site should be developed. We don't believe that this site is appropriate for a new town of anything like the size that's being proposed.
Because there are, I don't want to propose any other areas, but there are areas that have better infrastructures and that have more jobs and so on that the council can use.
Well, if you look at sustainability, it sort of makes sense to build houses where the jobs are, not build houses where you hope that there might be some jobs at some stage if somebody comes along and builds a factory to employ people. So to my mind, it sort of seems to make sense to build houses where the jobs are, or where the jobs are easily accessible on main arteries like rail and road arteries that are already in existence, unlike the B2133 and the A29.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the sort of areas, would seem to, well, there are better areas, and you just need to do a little research around the local Hilsham district area.
And the place to go to find out more is bigstand.co.uk.
www.bigstand.co.uk.
We'll put it right down here. You can't miss it.
Yes.
Okay. So how long do people have before we can before this all goes to fruition or happens?
The consultation period for this local plan at Horsham was perilously short, at only 6 weeks, and it started on the 17th of February. It ends on the 30th of March.
So, yeah.
We've got a week, barely a week, to get our objections in. If you fail to meet the deadline by the 30th of March, if you don't get your objection in by the 30th of March, it won't count.
Okay.
So we need to do something by the 30th of March. So it's actually quite easy just to print off a card and write an objection to the council. You just need a stamp, or you write an email, or best still, you go onto the Have Your Say part of the local plan website and you make your objection that way.
And the people who can object, is it anybody, or is it people in the local area that you're looking for?
Anybody on the planet can object if they have a proper argument or a reason for doing so. And they may have climate change arguments, they may have sustainability arguments. There could be, you don't have to be living in Adversane or Paul or Billingshurst or Broadford Bridge to make an objection to this. So anybody can do it, but it's also worth emphasising that numbers count. The councillors will look at the numbers on this, and if we only get a small number of objections, then we're opening the door. And we only have ourselves to blame. So we need numbers. It's a numbers game, and everyone in your house can write to the council. So if you've got a household of 4 people, don't just write 1 letter, write 4 letters.
Yeah, absolutely. What have the local councillors said to you, on the assumption that they've spoken to you? Is there any interest from the local councillors?
I'm not a planning expert, I'm afraid. I'm just a concerned local resident. The MP, the councillors, first of all, I don't think they can have any opinion. They can't be involved in your campaign or one's campaign, because they have to make an independent decision at the end of the day.
Okay.
We have to respect that.
Okay.
So we can campaign, and we can give the councillors our opinions and our own infrastructure surveys and things like that. We can do that, but we can't ask them to come on board. Our MP, Andrew Griffith, who's only actually been an MP since December, is wholly supportive of our campaign to not build a new town in the countryside. And he is on record in the Houses of Parliament saying that he believes that the correct way to provide additional accommodation in this district is by not building a new town, but by building onto existing settlements where you've got existing medical facilities. Maybe they need to be beefed up by, you've got existing schools, you've got existing infrastructure, you've got existing roads and railways, rather than building a new town out in
good thinking,
open countryside.
Julian, thanks for coming on the show today, and I wish you all success. And guys, if you are out there and you want to object, then please go to the website. The details are just down here. And I was going to say contact Julian, but maybe don't do that. Go to the website first. Thanks all for watching.